You learn a lot if you'll analyze your failures. Everybody's so afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to fail. Every time you fail, it's an opportunity to look into your soul, see what's going on, and really start to figure out, why did I do that? What caused that?
Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
So today I have the pleasure of sitting across a table from Athena Captain, and she is a nationally known speaker. I just found out book author, and does a lot for her community and people. But Athena, could you just kind of tell us your story, your journey, how you got to, and I know it's super deep.
It is deep.
So I'm just going to leave it at that.
You're like, I'll do high level.
Yeah.
High level is, I come from very humble beginnings, and because of that, I saw how difficult it was for people to be successful. I saw how difficult it was going to be for me to be successful. And when I started on my journey, I went after something that I could do, and that I found I was good in sales. So I started climbing, believe it or not, the corporate ladder by 21. I didn't go to college. I couldn't afford to go to college, and I had to support myself. So I started in...
So zero college.
Zero college.
High school to work.
Yep, high school to work. And had to support myself. I had no one else to take care of me. So... But the good news there, and I'm not advocating not doing that, but if you can't do it, there's still a path. It's a more difficult path, but there's a path. And so
takes more grit.
Yeah, it takes a lot more grit. So I did that path, and I did it really well. I will say I was a workaholic, and I put a lot of effort into that. But I learned very quickly by the age of 21, I was already in leadership and management. And although I won't say that when I was, in my early 20s, that was my most stellar leadership, but there was a natural tendency there. So fortunate enough, I'm now in my 50s, so I did a number of careers, and I can humbly say excessively successful in all of them. And that led me to about, 2009, I moved here to Oklahoma from the West Coast due to some personal reasons with my daughter. But I came here, I was a big wig in an international company, et cetera. And what happened is I have a daughter with disabilities, and I became a single mom. And a single mom traveling all over the United States and possibly the world when you have a child with medical emergency issues isn't possible.
And this is 2009?
This was actually in 2011 that this happened. And so I had to start looking for a new avenue, an avenue with a company that would allow me to put being a mom first. For the moms out there, I got to tell you, I understand. 4 times in my career, I've had to put my daughter first, which meant I lost titles, lost salary, lost credibility because of it. But I will say this, it's never not been worth it. Never not been worth it. And so that's what happened in Oklahoma. I told a friend, I said, look, I have to find something where I don't have to travel. I had the fortunate to get interviewed by 6 CEOs, introduced, got 6 job offers, and chose the one that paid me the least and was going to be the most challenging because I live my life by faith, and it's what my gut told me. And I felt like they weren't telling me. They were telling me the truth when they said my family could come first. And so I went with that. That's Turner & Son Homes, and most people in the Oklahoma area know me from that. And I took over their sales and marketing, and I built a system. I like to tell people that we changed our business model, and I had to create a sales and marketing system from scratch. I had never done that. I'd always taken a system that was already there and just worked it better than other people. So this time, I had...
So you started from scratch with Turner & Sons.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we changed business models. So they were a production builder, right? And so I had to do all of that. And so I had to build that from scratch. This is a true story. I almost bankrupted the company. I almost bankrupted myself. There were times where I was counting pennies. I went from the corporate world where I was flying in private jets, guys, to counting pennies.
Very liquid.
I'm like...
Over the years, I have been coached by countless mentors, and now I want to offer that to you as well. How? By Marty Hofmann's Life Coaching. This will be a 6-week program in which I will guarantee you will develop a more growth mindset. We will set goals and learn about the importance of the processes and habits behind those goals. I will also help you see your story differently as things happening for you, not to you. We will also be discussing your future self and give you clarity on who that is and what it looks like. For more information, please follow the link below or hop on martyhoffman.com and follow the coaching link.
So very humbling. It was very difficult. I can't say I would go back and do it again, but I'm thankful I did it because of what it taught me. So then I built a system that was very successful, started teaching it to people for free, because I gained 100 pounds, was losing my hair and all of this stuff. And I thought, my God, I've got to teach people this, because I read all the books, but they're a lot of theory, you know, and none of them had like the grit, like how do you actually apply this so you don't go broke? So I was like, okay, I'm a learner, so I read it all, but I needed the how-to. So after I created the how-to, I started teaching it to people for free. Just so they wouldn't gain 100 pounds and lose their hair and go broke. And it started working, and more than I thought. And so I started coaching and training and et cetera, but it wasn't until 2021 that I felt brave enough to work only part-time or less at the home building, because I couldn't give that up. I was a partner at that point.
Okay.
And take on this new adventure of being a consultant in speech and all that.
Talk to me a little bit about that, Athena, about switching from free coaching to paid coaching. Is that a mindset that you had to take on as far as valuing it, or was it because you were getting so many people with so many questions and you just said, you know, I gotta put some value? How did you come to that conclusion, I guess?
It's multifaceted. If you really want the transparent, honest answer, I knew in my heart what I was teaching could help people, and I saw it. And many people around me were telling me I should be charging for it. I should be charging for it. But I grew up, like I said, in a very humble beginning, and at the level of the humble beginning that I had, feeling like you are worthy to charge people. Sure. No matter, and what's interesting to this is when I worked in the corporate world and I won all the awards and I did all of that, I didn't question my value. I went in and was like, you know, hey. But when it was something I created, yes, and it was my work on the line, I really struggled with feeling like it was valuable enough, that I was valuable enough, I was good enough to be paid. And even though in retrospect how wrong that was, so it took me.
I think that's really well said in regards to comparing there to working for somebody, working for yourself. Because I get that, like, and I've been a bit of an entrepreneur my whole life. It's so much easier to charge for a service with someone else's letterhead at the top, right? Right. But when it's yours, it feels so much more personal, right? And it's, for me, it isn't necessarily even that how I value it, but also I think it's a perceived, like, what are they going to think of me? And maybe that isn't right, but I'm just processing this as you're talking. But it is definitely harder because you're thinking, like, if it's Johnson & Johnson or whatever on top, it's okay. But when it's Marty Hofmann, it's, what are they going to think about me? Do you think that plays into it? Like, or is it?
I will say this, for the listeners listening, I absolutely think there's a segment of people that is the thing. That wasn't my thing. My thing is I really struggled with self-value. I really struggled with realizing how valuable my experience was. And so mine was internal, very internal.
If I can, how do you help people overcome that?
First of all, we got to identify it. Yeah. Right? You'll see it through behavior before you'll understand it. So you'll see yourself limiting yourself. You'll see yourself sabotaging yourself. You'll see yourself doing things that make that truth come alive. So being aware to see those things where you're limiting yourself, and then ask yourself what's causing that. And then being willing to dig into why are you doing that? Where is that coming from? What limiting belief is causing that? You know, that's the journey I had to do, is figure out, and I now help many, many clients do, is figure out what is that thing? What's holding you back?
Have you read the book, The Great Leap?
No.
I listened to it about 6 months ago. Everything you said is in that book.
Really? Oh. Good author. But maybe I'll have to read it. No.
And someone recommended I read it because what he talked about in the book is that like when we're successful and we get elevated, people will say something, and I think he uses the word deflect, and we'll deflect it. And when we deflect it, we don't own it, and we don't allow ourselves to go to the next level because we're never good enough. And it's always, and I think it's in that book, they talk about how entrepreneurs especially, they thrive in chaos. They're problem solvers. And so when things get successful, they'll go in and they'll
screw it up.
Mess it up.
Totally mess it up. Absolutely.
And it's part of it, it's what they do. And so they want it a mess. But as a result, they always sabotage their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to, as a true entrepreneurial person, you have to understand your tendencies towards behaviors and make sure that you put boundaries on yourself. You know, I think in business and in life, people could really serve themselves well by self-identifying your behaviors, understanding how you tick, what makes you do what you do, and then make sure that you have good boundaries around you. You know, here's a great example. I'm dyslexic, right? But I'm an author and I speak, which is really funny. If you really listen to a lot of my speeches and stuff, you'll see I enunciate words wrong, or I'll use the wrong word. And
do you know, I do the same thing.
Do you?
My wife is like, because I have aspirations of getting on a stage, and she's like, you know, I have to correct you because if you're going to do this, like.
Okay, I don't know your wife, but I'm going to tell her this. That's not true.
I know. I think people like it.
I think
or maybe not like it, but.
So there's going to be people like in the audience that are grammar, snobs, I'll say, and it's going to bug them for a second. But if your delivery is well and the content in itself is great, then they'll get over it.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to don't you limit yourself.
No,
I don't.
I don't really care.
You're
my daughter's sitting right here. She's smiling and laughing because she knows I make up phrases or I switch. I'll say things like, "Get the buggy in front of the horse." Or I think that's you know what I mean.
I do.
You do the same thing though, I'm sure. Because
yes, I'll say things weird. They call it Athena Bonics in the people that I love. But again, awareness. So I know this about myself. What's interesting is, so it's about building boundaries, right? Well, I don't allow the dyslexia to stop me. What I do is I make sure I hire people that double check my work, right? Because I know that's a problem. So, and that's just one example, but there's many examples where we can put some boundaries and get some tools so that our limiting beliefs or our chaos creating behavior doesn't limit us.
Yeah. Yeah. In that book, that's what he goes in to sabotage it. And his buddy's like, whoa. And he's like, no, it's not right. And he's like, no. You hired these people. These were the best. Like, just leave it alone.
Yeah. I'll have to read that.
Yeah. I've never been diagnosed dyslexic, but I'm pretty sure I am. Struggled reading and all that. But I've never heard somebody else say what you said about words, because I do that. I thought I was the Lone Ranger, so that's cool.
No, it's not. What's really, and you probably can identify with this then. I'm an avid reader. I read probably, no exaggeration, 4 to 6 books a month.
Okay.
But I read words by memory because I can't sound them out.
It's sight reading, 100%.
Right. So what happens then is I taught myself how to say a word wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Right,
for sure.
So I say it wrong, period.
Yeah.
But fortunately.
And I can't get it switched.
No, and I try. My my husband and my business partner, they have license to stop me and say, hey, this is how you really say the word. And so they'll help me. But anyway.
Yeah, I feel like kindred spirit right
now. Yeah. Well, and if you're listening and you're dyslexic, you can still achieve, right? It's not a limiting thing, you know, or whatever. If you have, you know, my husband has ADD, and it's not a limiting thing. Mm-hmm. You just accept it, understand it, and then understand how your brain works. And then let's create a system for you to thrive and work in your genius, your superpower anyway.
If you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store. It's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com, mindsetshop.com. So you keep talking about that. Understand yourself.
Yeah.
What kind of tools, if I come to you as a student and I say, help me understand myself, what kind of tools? Is it books? Is it, how do I help myself understand myself better?
For interesting enough, in my coaching, we don't start with understanding yourself. We start with, I know this sounds interesting, but we start with, most people come to me for their business. In the current business model I have now, they come to me because either their work, you know, they're being a workaholic, or they're not satisfied, or they want to expand their business, or sales is not going well, for whatever the reasons. And they come to me, and that's the problem. So you always start with, what's the biggest problem going on?
Okay.
Then we start unpacking that problem. When we unpack that problem, I don't care who you are, we're going to find an element that is you. Either you being great, or you having a limiting belief, or you having a struggle. And we will identify that in that coaching. And so it's not that I won't, at the beginning, we don't go into assessments.
Okay.
We don't do any of that. Mine is much more personal.
Sure.
So we sit down and
you look at the business, you find out how the person plugs into the business, and how they're adding or subtracting from it.
You got it. And then from there, working on getting resources for you to help you.
To make me stronger.
You got it.
Add the strengths.
I'm not a therapist, you know, and I'm not the person that I can encourage you and stuff, but there is some work you have to do on your own.
Sure. Do you think, I mean, your life has been a journey of figuring out yourself and whatnot. Do you think that primarily has come from reading, or just experimenting, or people? How have you figured out these concepts?
Failure.
It's so good.
A failure. You learn a lot if you'll analyze your failures. Everybody's so afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to fail. Every time you fail, it's an opportunity to look into your soul, see what's going on, and really start to figure out, why did I do that? What caused that? There's a little book. I know it's a silly little book, but it's great. It's called QBQ, The Question Before the Question.
QBQ?
I read it one day, like an hour on the beach in Hawaii, I don't know, 11 years ago. And the concept is, everything that happens, you have an impact to. Everything happening in your life, you have an impact to. So the question behind the question is, what could have you done different? How could have you looked right? So it's all about self-awareness. So I think the beginning is not being afraid to fail, analyzing the failure, and then after you analyze the failure, then seeking the book, seeking the people, seeking therapy, seeking whatever it is to get the tools necessary to make sure that you're not making cyclical mistakes.
Wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives, to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.